Hello, welcome to Skye Sweaty Record Review, episode 43, let's call it. As you can tell by my awesome graphic, we are going to have a Professor Payne pretentious preface. Now this is the only YouTube new music review channel hosted by a French professor immediately after getting off the elliptical. So I'm getting ready to talk about this album, but first I want to say something. I think it is morally not okay to laugh at Michael Jackson, to laugh at Justin Bieber, to laugh at Britney Spears. I think what's happened to them is something of a crime in which we are all more or less a little bit complicit. Their rise and their fall has served as something as like fodder for us. It's all part of the weird machine. You could make an argument it's a part of the capitalist machine. I don't need to go there. But their rise and their fall and their degradations, in our view, I think is just terrible. I feel like they are artists of varying degrees of talent and skill, and we take them and we chew them up and we spit them out and then we laugh at them after we defecate them. And I think there's another way. And that's my hope for today. That was too loud. My hope for today is that there's another way that we can have pop stars, that we can have boy bands, that we can have teen idols. And to that, I want to discuss an album, it's hardly even an album, it's like 10 minutes long, you should listen to it, by someone named Christian Leave. Kind of a mysterious name. I was drawn to the cover. I find it a very evocative cover. It's like just like some awkward looking kid. Just some awkward looking kid, like a young kid. And then you press play, and it's sort of like, okay, this is kind of interesting. The first track, it's called You. It has this sort of like underground feel to it. It feels like it's all done in a bedroom. It feels like it's all done by one person with a very young voice. So I knew nothing about this. So I'm like, is this the guy? Is this the guy who made the music? I don't know. It sounds like it. And so I got so curious, I started looking up what Christian Leave was. And this is the thing. If I'd looked up Christian Leave before I heard the music, I never would have reviewed it. My prejudice is so great. Christian Leave is a Vine star. Now, I'm 41 years old, which means I basically don't know what that means. I've talked to my kids about Vine. I guess it doesn't exist anymore. It was like a really quick, it was like a 10-second video channel. And there were all these like young, obnoxious kids who had become famous just for being famous and doing outrageous things. Usually like young, handsome, white kids from affluent families just being like a goofball, like all making this kind of face. And like kind of like pointing at the camera and saying like squad and stuff like that. And so like that's like the opposite. That's like, for people like me, that's the end of civilization. That's the downfall. These kids should be making music and art, and they should be watching Casablanca and Citizen Kane and listening to the Beatles. They shouldn't be trying to get followers on Vine. How can good art come from something so odious? That's where this guy comes from. And when you listen to the album, you'll be like, there's no way look at this. This was this kid 4 years before releasing this album. He's eating a donut with that stupid face. That stupid social media young white kid face. Just like, meh. Listen to what he said about himself. He was trying to win an award for Best Viner. I don't know. My name is Christian. I'm 14 and I'm a Viner. I've been doing Vine for about 8 months and I have 400,000 followers. I really enjoy making people laugh and just entertaining in general. That was less loud. How can good art come from this? But what if we go back to my initial premise that there's another way to have pop stars? What if, instead of the usual tradition, if you take a successful pop star like Justin Timberlake, right? So he comes up and he's a part of the machine. And he's got Max Martin and Benny Blanco and all the producers in the world behind him. And he's got the A&R and he's got the record company and everyone's churning him out. And he's producing hits and he's producing songs. He's on Saturday Night Live and the girls put the posters on the wall. He becomes part of this whole machine and he's cranking out money and money and money and money. And then at the point where he could have broken, he stays together. I don't know why he stays together. Has a good family, he has a good support system. It's all an act. I don't know. But he stays together and he becomes a real artist. He starts to write some of his own music. He starts to have his own input. And all of a sudden he's taken seriously. But he had to go through all that stuff. What if Justin Bieber never got hooked up with the mega producers. He's so talented. He can really sing. He can really drum. He can really make music. What if we have an alternate universe where Justin Bieber was just allowed to like get rich by taking dumb videos of himself eating donuts, and then he could make music as he wanted to make it, as an actual artist did? I think if he did, it would be, I have to go pick up this paper again, like this kid, okay? This is an amazing, like 15-minute album. And as far as I can tell, it's all recorded in his house, in his bedroom. I think he recorded every single note. This first track, You, it's got this cool like Casio rhythm, like Casio drum machine rhythm, and his voice is slightly altered, but he sings really well and with great emotion. And then he layers this kind of cheesy synth with heavier synth on top of it that's like really lush. It's this nice mixture of kind of chintzy and warbly with lush. The last lyric, I lead with my heart, so feel free to break it, or something like that. Some kind of nice, simple lyric. The second track is the track called Smaller, which is like this kind of 50s throwback song. It ends with him talking about going steady. But it's like really nicely done. It feels like, the Mountain Goats or some really serious artist alone in his room making music. But it's the Donut Kid 4 years later. Nice rhythm section. At the end of the song, Smaller, like the actual drums come in. It like has these these dynamics to it. Another song called Understand. It could have been another Sacco and ukulele song. Pretty much anytime you hear a ukulele in a pop album, just skip the track. Not in this case. It has this awesome lead guitar line that's really warped. For like a Vine star who had 400,000 viewers or whatever in a couple months, he's not trying to make music that just makes people happy. He's making really interesting, like, kind of skewed music with these interesting warbly lead lines. And then the last track is called Never. Now I did a little bit more research, and it turns out that this guy, I'm going to call him this kid. He was born in 2000. He's a kid, right? It turns out that he moved to LA from Texas. And so this last song, it'll make you cry. It's a song to his mom. He like misses his mom, and he said he's never done anything like this before. And he thinks of his mom's love. And he's sorry if he's distant, but he's never done it before. And his singing, it's great. It goes in between like confident to a little bit warbly to kind of like that sort of like dram style, like at the edge of his register. It's like a 15-minute album. And my hope is that this is the future. My hope is that my daughter and her friends find this music and say, "Wah!" and they get crazy about him. As opposed to, I don't know, whatever the next machine is that's being pumped out. Because this kid, no doubt, he could be in the machine. But he's not. So go out and listen to it. Give it a shot. Let me know in the comments if I'm right. I'm asking you to comment on it, okay? All right? Is this in a different way? All right. Now, making fun of a kid, I apparently have a zit right on the middle of my nose. Has that been distracting you the whole time? I have to stop looking at the camera. It's going to be there on the next video, though, because I am actually going to Switzerland. There. Okay, that was Austria. Close enough. I'm going to Switzerland in like a couple hours. I'm going to a conference. So I'm going to record the next episode right now. It'll be kind of like back to back. Well, I'll just move to the other side of the kitchen. So there may only be 2 episodes next week. I don't know. I may try and squeeze in a third in my Swiss hotel room. But we're keeping going. We're making it towards the end of the year. I am going to do a greatest the first 50 episodes, greatest year of the year episode coming up soon. And so there it is. Christian Leave, highly recommend. Is this the future of boy bands? I really hope so. I have hope for boy bands. For the trivia, the answer is an America Online boot-up disc. This was 5 years before this kid was born. Oh, special segue. There's a song on this album called You. The song on the next album that I like the most is also called You. Are they similar? There's the camera.